Now we'll uncover the 1973 oil embargo in a bit more detail. For years, King Faisal had been a vocal opponent of Israel, particularly after the 1967 Six-Day War, when Israel captured the West Bank, Gaza Strip, Sinai Peninsula, Golan Heights, and East Jerusalem, which included important Islamic holy sites. The occupation of Arab lands inflamed tensions across the Arab world, and Faisal saw it as both a political and religious affront. By the time the Yom Kippur War, also known as the October War, began in 1973, the conflict between Israel and its Arab neighbors had reached a boiling point. Egypt and Syria launched a surprise attack on Israel to reclaim their territories lost in 1967. The US and other Western countries supported Israel with military supplies and aid, which outraged the Arab world. In response to the Western backing of Israel, King Faisal and other Arab leaders within the Organization of Arab Petroleum Exporting Countries, otherwise known as OPEC, decided to use oil as a strategic weapon. On October 17, 1973, OPEC announced an oil embargo against nations supporting Israel, particularly the United States, the Netherlands, and other European countries. The embargo reduced oil production and cut off oil exports to these nations, which led to a significant global energy crisis. The goal was twofold: to pressure the West, particularly the US, to change its pro-Israel stance and force Israel to withdraw from the occupied territories. 2. To assert the Arab influence over global oil markets, as Saudi Arabia and its OPEC allies controlled a substantial portion of the world's oil supply. The embargo had devastating economic effects on the West. Oil prices quadrupled, leading to widespread fuel shortages, inflation, and economic slowdowns in affected countries. In the US, the embargo contributed to long lines at gas stations, fuel rationing, and a sharp increase in prices. On a geopolitical level, the embargo shifted the balance of power in favor of oil-producing Arab states, giving countries like Saudi Arabia unprecedented leverage on the global stage. The oil embargo also pressured the US government to reconsider its support for Israel and open new avenues for diplomatic negotiations between Arab states and Israel. King Faisal was the leading figure behind the embargo, often described as its architect. He saw the embargo as a powerful tool to exert pressure on the West to reconsider its policies in the Middle East. Faisal's unyielding stance on the issue earned him enormous respect throughout the Arab and Muslim world. His leadership during the embargo also highlighted the growing influence of oil-producing nations and marked a shift in global economic dynamics. While the embargo ultimately ended in March 1974, it fundamentally altered the relationships between the Arab world, the West, and the global economy. It underscored the strategic importance of oil and established Saudi Arabia as a key player in global politics. While King Faisal's leadership during the embargo bolstered his standing in the Arab world, it also deepened the internal and external political tensions, particularly regarding the kingdom's foreign and domestic policies. Internally, not everyone in Saudi Arabia supported Faisal's political and economic reforms. Faisal's focus on modernization, his cautioned openness to Western technology, and his tough stance on regional and global issues such as the oil embargo created discontent among certain factions of Saudi society, including parts of the royal family. One of these dissenters was Faisal's nephew, Prince Faisal bin Musaid. Though not directly linked with the oil embargo, Faisal bin Musaid's motivations for assassinating King Faisal in 1975 were partially rooted in personal grievances and the broader political discontent within the kingdom. His brother Khalid bin Musaid had been killed in 1965 during a clash with government forces over Faisal's television reforms, seen by many conservative Saudis as a threat to Islamic values. On March 25, 1975, King Faisal was assassinated by Prince Faisal bin Musaid during a routine audience in Riyadh. Prince Faisal approached the king during a public gathering, where he shot the king in the head at point-blank range. Although the prince's exact motivations remain unclear, many have speculated that it was a combination of personal revenge for the death of his brother and broader disillusionment with Faisal's modern policies. While King Faisal's assassination was not directly caused by the oil embargo, the tension it created contributed to a broader atmosphere of political and social unrest within Saudi Arabia. Faisal's assassination shocked the kingdom and the wider Arab world, but his legacy, particularly his role in the oil embargo and his vision for a unified Arab Islamic response to Western dominance. The 1973 oil embargo remains one of King Faisal's most significant legacies. It changed the course of global economic history, solidified Saudi Arabia's status as a key player in the global oil market and demonstrated the power of oil as a political tool. However, the internal fractures that it exacerbated, alongside other policies, contributed to the complex environment in which Faisal's reign ended tragically.